Hey guys, it's me, Ventura. um, I just wanted to say, I just wanted to share some of my story with you guys. I don't know if I've ever collectively or in a row shared all the things. So, um, as you may know, if you follow me here on Instagram, like I in love with myself. um, and I've been not posting as much. I've been kind of in and out because I want that love to be from a healthy place, not a self-obsessed place. I think that when you become too self-obsessed, then you forget about service. And I never want to be that kind of person. So, um, I'm feeling more balanced these days, and I wanted to share some details of my journey with you guys. I remember just not liking myself since I was a kid, or feeling like something was wrong with me, or if I looked like this, or if I talked like this, or if I looked like this, then my life would be different, better somehow. I think that that's a journey, maybe with a lot of people, because of what we see in media, because of what we experience at school, because of shaming that comes even from our own families. I think that it's easy to get the idea in your head, especially as an impressionable child, that, something's wrong with you. And if you don't shape up, no one's going to love you. And I believe that to the death. Um, it didn't help that I was, one of very few black people in my school, in my town. And then all the other girls that were black did not mess with me. They didn't like me. They bullied me. One time I was walking down the sidewalk, minding my own black business, and these girls came up and snatched my drawstring ponytail off my head. And I remember being so hurt that day. But I think for me, what really hurt in the situation is the fact that y'all are the only other girls in this school that even know what a drawstring ponytail is. And instead of trying to connect with me, you hated on me because I was different than you. As a child, I felt very out of place when it came to my blackness, and not to mention I was fat. All my friends were skinny white girls, because they were the ones that were nice to me. But as I look back on it, they were not very nice to me. I guess they let me hang around them. I guess that was nice. But in retrospect, they kept me around because I would do anything for them. I'm just that kind of person. So that being said, whether the love was real or not, who will know? But I found it difficult to develop confidence and love and respect for myself when the mirrors, the reflections I constantly saw showed me that I wasn't enough. My dad left when I was 11, and at the same time, one of my really good best friends, who is a guy, also moved away. And I found myself in a really devastated place. And it was manifesting physically, because I was always trying to suppress my emotions, even at 11. And I got so sick, I couldn't go to school. And then when I got better, my mom tried to drop me off, and I would cry hysterically. Like, I could not stop crying. Like, she had to take me home because I couldn't get out of the car and stop crying. And I just remember being at a very low place in my life, in my heart, and thinking to myself, no, I'm not upset about this. I'm not upset about being rejected. I don't know what's wrong with me. I just want to go home. I'm sick. I don't feel good. Those feelings returned in adulthood. Once I became an adult, I went through a lot. My mom died, and I moved out to Nacogdoches, and I started having those attacks again. I didn't realize they were anxiety attacks. Um, I would be so anxious. My heart was pounding. I would be crying hysterically so much that I couldn't breathe. And I started having those regularly here when I moved here. And I realized it was because I hated myself. I would be sitting and thinking in my head, Ventura, like, you're about to be 30. You don't have a man. You've never had a boyfriend. Nobody has ever wanted you. No one's ever gonna want you. You're too fat. Your stomach's too big. Like, you don't do this. You don't do that. You can't take care of yourself. You're irresponsible. And all these things would just pile and pile and pile on in my brain. And I would start crying. And I would be in such hysterics that I could not get out of bed. I couldn't stop crying. I couldn't even breathe. Anxiety would overtake me, and I was so anxious about the fact that I would never be loved or stable or whole again. Eventually, after doing this over and over and it becoming more and more frequent, at least once or twice a week, after ever so many suicidal ideations, I decided I can't keep doing this. Either I'm gonna change or I'm gonna die. And I can't die because my brother already lost his mom. Can't lose a sister too. It's only the three of us. So I had to buck up, champ. I had to put on my big girl panties and change. So that change started really with changing the way that I interacted with myself, changing the way I talk to myself. I would go in dressing rooms and I would be in there bawling my eyes out because this doesn't fit me like I thought, or doesn't look like this on the mannequin, or I really thought in my head, I don't know, do I think I'm skinnier in my head? Like, what's wrong with me? I couldn't go in dressing rooms. I couldn't try on clothes. I couldn't do anything because I was so distraught and I hated myself so much, which I honestly, truly, to the depths of my soul, believe that was the enemy's plan for me my whole life. Because if you hate yourself, you're never going to step into the calling, the plan, the destiny that God has designed for you, because you cannot conceive that you would even be chosen. And I heard a preacher say, if you can't conceive it, you can't achieve it. You can't get there. If you can't even imagine yourself there, you're never going to make it. And so I was stuck in a rut, knocked on my butt, bars, never going to reach my destiny because of this. So that's what I did. I started changing the way I talk to myself. I started pumping myself up. I started these affirmations, I guess, before it was a thing. I'd be like, Ventura, you cute girl. Look at you. You look good. You're amazing. You're funny. You're smart. And anytime thoughts would come to my head to try to tell me I wasn't good enough, I'm not going to make it, that no man will ever want me, I had to lie to myself. And it was a lie because I didn't believe it. I didn't believe that somebody would ever love me. I didn't believe that I was beautiful. I didn't believe that I had anything to offer anybody. So I had to lie to myself until I believed the lie, which is actually the truth. So I had to lie to myself about the truth until the truth became the truth and the lie became the lie. You know what I'm talking about. So I had to say it until I believed it. You got to see it before you see it, or you never will see it. This is a faith walk, y'all. That's all I'm trying to say. That's all I'm trying to say. Y'all really think that self-love, confidence, and self-respect is some kind of material, not material, some kind of carnal situation. It's a faith walk, baby. It's a faith walk every day. So I started telling myself these things until I believed it. The pandemic happened. I started going to therapy, and because I think that I was really using self-talk to avoid how I really felt about myself. Like, I was saying these things, but if you probed me, you try to poke, pulled up the sheets a little. It wasn't there, baby. It wasn't no substance. There was no foundation. And that's because I started on the outside to get it to the inside. Which, hey, God gonna meet you where you are. That's where I was. So here I am. I started going to therapy, kind of breaking down some of my childhood issues, my traumas, my barriers to really like accepting myself. And it was hard. It was a very hard work. It was 0 out of 10, but I highly recommend it. It was very hard, but very rewarding. So I'm in therapy, minding my own black business. We're in a pandemic. I'm working from home. This is why I used to listen to Michael Todd a lot. I had him on, YouTube, chatting away, doing my job. So he's preaching. I felt like the Lord was telling me to go listen to the sermon he's preaching in the relationship series. Now, I'm not really, didn't care nothing about that because who am I going to be in a relationship with? I'm a horrible partner to myself, right? So I go to listen to it, and it's like the sermon, the one he was preaching on is rip up your list. Or rip up the list or something about the list. I was like, okay, well, let me go listen to this because, a lot of times we have these preconceived notions about or we have a list of like, if a person's not, everything on this list, I can never marry them. So let me listen to this because maybe that's what my problem is. Maybe I can't find a man because my list is outrageous. So he gets on there and he starts preaching about this list, talking about David and how Samuel the prophet went to go find David. Samuel was a prophet. He still didn't expect David to be the king, even though he hear from the Lord right here, audibly, mind you. He still had to be guided to pick someone, not based on what they looked like, but based on who God really picked. And, I felt like he was talking about, a mate and stuff, but the Lord was really just on my head and telling me I need to rip up my list. I was like, okay, my list about what? I ain't got no list. I stopped making lists years ago because these niggas don't know how to act, blah, blah, blah. So I'm minding my own business. The Lord tells me to go get a piece of paper. And he said, I want you to write on this piece of paper everything that you think you have to be to get what I have for you. Like, when you look at your future and you're all these things that I've spoken over you, like, what do you look like? What are you doing? How much money do you have? So I make a list. 8 by 11 paper, 2 columns, both sides. It's a very long list. I wrote all these things on the list that I thought I had to do or be or become to be at this place that God always told me I would be at, to do these things God always told me I was going to do, to be a preacher, to be this, and that, be a prophet. God, I have to look like this, I have to do this, X, Y, Z. So I wrote all these things down, and God said, rip up your list. I said, what? He said, rip up your list. Rip it up. Coincidentally, at the same time, God tells me that that's what Michael Todd is saying in the sermon. And so I'm crying, ripping my list to shreds. And God started speaking to me. And the things that I had been coaching myself on, the positive self-talk, all of those things began to penetrate my heart that day. And God spoke over me and he said, Ventura, when I called you, when I picked you, you looked like this. You sounded like this. You dressed like this. You made these kind of jokes. You walked the way that you walk. You had this amount of money. When I called you, when I picked you, it was for now. The problem is I was trying to become some person I was never going to become. And because we put all these good things, all these destiny things on hold because we feel like we don't fit the bill, or because when I lose 10 pounds, I can finally buy that dress. But that's how we're treating our destiny, aren't we? When I finally forgive that person, that's when I can. When I finally can go here, that's when I can. No. So God arrested me that day, and he said, Ventura, that's it. That's what I call all of this. And here I am. I'm doing what I can with what I got. And what I have is enough. Not because of who I am, but because in my deficit, God completes me. He's the God of the deficit. I've learned in my old age, I'm 31, that your weakness is your low point is your high point. Why? Because God's strength strengthens me in weakness. So I have to wake up every day and agree and align with the idea, with the truth, with the belief that I'm not always going to meet the mark, but that's right where God wants me to be. Because when I just miss it, he just feels it. So I want to encourage you all to rip up your list, to stop believing or stop pushing off what God has designed for you based on what information, based on what. Now I understand there's real things going on in the world. There's real things going on. Desirability is a thing in the Christian world. You know what I'm saying? It's a thing, honey. White is right to these people. Thin is in to these people. But let me tell you something. When God picked you, when he said you the one, he knew what you look like. And he said, yeah, you. Not in a condescending way like people say, be like, you can do it even if you're fat. Or you can do it because you're fat. No, you can do it because I'm with you. And representation matters. It matters so much to God. Because we are all made in his image. All of us. So here I am, brothers and sisters, embarking on a creative journey to where I can use who I am, what I am in God to pull others, push others along the road that leads to their destiny. And I invite you to stay tuned for what that could mean for you and what more that can mean for me. And remember the simple truth. God loves you. He's obsessed with you. He wants the best for you. And he's the God of the deficit. So if you are feeling like you're not enough, he gonna make it enough. Okay? I love you. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.